Welcome everyone to the Fright Corner podcast. I'm your host John, and with me as always my co-host Jeff. Jeff, how you doing over there?
Not bad. How about you?
So far so good. Looking forward to reviewing these movies tonight for sure. We've got three movies on the horizon here. We've got the 1988 Night of the Demons, and we got Paranormal Activity 4, which is part of our franchise review. And then we got approached by producer Zach Green to take a look at his movie called Heir from 2015. It is a short film, about 14 minutes long, and we took a gander at it, seen it, and we're going to talk about it tonight, and it will be filled with spoilers. So that's just fair warning to anybody out there. Right now it's on the independent circuit. I'm not sure where you go to watch it. You could probably look it up on IMDb and probably find something on it, for sure.
And you got in contact with him over Twitter, right? So I think people could probably go there and search for it as well. The movie's, it's actually spelled H-E-I-R, so not to be confused with air, like A-I-R. But anyway, just wanted to clear that up and take a look on Twitter maybe even as well.
Yeah, just look underneath I actually tweeted out to Zach Green, who was the producer, and you could probably find him on my feed on there. So just hit him up and ask him where you can see to watch this movie at, because I consider it a horror movie. So, but we'll get into that when we get into that review. Some things we got coming up in the near future. Of course, we're prepping up, getting ready to watch the new Blair Witch movie here in a couple of weeks. Because we want to do a retrospective on that. We actually have a plan to do the Blair Witch from 1999, and then we'd like to do the 2015 Blair Witch. I think that'll kind of coincide, because there was a Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, but we're going to kind of ignore that for our review process, so...
yeah, it was kind of an offbeat one. I'm not sure what to say about that one, but it happened. That's about it.
Yeah, it was a little different. I mean, I understand the direction they were going, but I don't think anything took off the way they wanted to. So that's why we didn't have anything for a long time. And I think this movie has been talked about for quite a while, for a third movie, if I remember right. So,
yeah, it's almost like that Godzilla thing where they made Godzilla and then they waited a really long time before they made a new one because they wanted to wait for interest to, come back a little bit. And I think now that these found footage movies are so prevalent nowadays, I think this was the perfect timing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's why they're coming back with it, because they're kind of one of the early originals for this last onset of found footage films, because of course we did have some back in the 70s and 80s with Cannibal Holocaust and Cannibal Feral Fox and a few movies like that, but it really took off after Blair Witch for sure. So let's see, what else we got coming up? Oh yeah, in October we're going to have the guys from Horror Movie Night are going to appear on here with us, and we're going to be doing a kind of a retrospective episode again. It'll be on the 1980 Maniac and the 2012 Maniac starring Elijah Wood. That was a remake of the original. I'm looking forward to that. I think we're going to have all three of them guys on at the same time, so it could get a little crazy, but it'll be worth it. And I recommend checking out that Horror Movie Night podcast for sure. They're pretty good. They're a weekly podcast. They release anywhere between Friday and Sunday each week. I'm trying to think what else we got coming up. Let's see. I've got the commentary I'm going to be doing here in another week or two. With the guys over at the Horrorcast. And
another interesting thing is, I believe next month we have the return of The Walking Dead. And is American Horror Story coming back then, or is it later?
No, it's actually this month. It premieres on the 14th, actually. They're starting it almost a month early.
Yeah, so we got a couple big shows there that are coming back that are both technically considered horror.
Oh yeah, absolutely we do. I'm looking forward to those because I watch both of them. I'm an avid watcher of The Walking Dead. Been watching it since it started, and I've been watching American Horror Story since it started. So, looking forward to those for sure. Okay, I guess with that, if nothing else I can think of, I think we'll jump right into our reviews, and we're going to start out with our movie from 1988, Night of the Demons. And I will sum this up real quick as on the night of Halloween, 10 teens decide to go to a party at an abandoned funeral parlor called Hull House that's supposed to be built on an evil patch of ground with also an underground stream. While starting the party, the teens decide to, I guess, have a seance to see if they can see their future. Well, that leads to bad things, and they actually release some demons that start possessing them one by one. And they gotta survive till morning to get out of the place, because the gates disappeared and everything, so... I mean, and just, that's probably roundabout what the movie is about. Jeff, I'll let you start out here with what you thought about the movie.
Yeah, so it definitely has a bit of a following because you can actually go to YouTube and you can find a Blu-ray copy of this movie. So despite it being so old, it's been remastered and re-released, and there's a copy on YouTube that's totally free. And so you can go there and watch it in very nice quality. It's an interesting movie. It's good, but not for the reasons that they probably originally intended. Personally, I believe the best thing about this movie is actually the soundtrack. Fantastic 80s music, start to finish. I feel like it kind of reminded me of the Karate Kid type music, that upbeat 80s pop type music, I guess. And so that was really, really wonderful for me. But as far as the movie goes, I think the whole thing was there was one girl in there in particular who was famous for being in B movies, and I think maybe all the actors were. But anyway, I feel like they just went out and they got all of the worst actors they could possibly find and threw them into one movie. No disrespect to the actors in particular, but pretty much none of the acting was good as far as I was concerned. But it was cheesy and it was funny, and a couple of moments actually were kind of scary, like things popping out at you, and the special effects they did pretty well with, considering what they were working with. So acting not so good. It is a B movie, so you got to understand that. But it was charming in its own way, and I kind of enjoyed watching it. I don't think I'll watch it again anytime soon, but it was worth seeing at least once. John, what do you think about that one?
Well, I really enjoyed this because this came out in 1988, and at this time we had a Friday the 13th movie out every year. We had a Nightmare on Elm Street movie out every year, and this kind of came out right in the middle of that heyday. And I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle. I mean, yes, it is a B movie. Acting's not that great. The girl you're talking to about the being in all the B movies, her name was Linnea Quigley, and
that's what it was.
She's in a lot of those B movies, but she was known that she was kind of revolutionary because she would, she had no problem doing anything,
including taking her clothing off.
Yeah, I actually watched an interview with her, and she said the reason, it came up a lot with her, and she said it never bothered me because her father was a doctor, so it was just a body. Who cares?
Totally natural. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing sinful or anything about it. It was just everybody's got a body, so it just never bothered her. So I think that's what helped her career out a lot, is that she wasn't afraid to go out there and give it her all and do whatever she could.
And I respect her for that. It didn't bother me either.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
I thank her for her service. But yeah, she was definitely kind of one of the lighter spots. And then also, I can't think of his name, but the guy just kind of right off the bat, he seems kind of like the bad guy of the movie, but then he turns out to not be such a bad guy. The guy with the New York accent that seemed to, there's like the greaser type, hey, what you guys do? And, that accent that just kind of came out of left field. Like nobody else spoke like that. So why does he? But, he was probably the charming one of the film on the male side of things.
Yeah, really he was. I mean, when he starts out, it kind of seems like he's kind of a jerk. Like, oh man, this guy, he's going to get it, and I can't wait for it. But, he turns out to be kind of the guy at the end that's, getting toward the end that's like, this is it. The shit hits the fan and we got to get the hell out of here. Just go.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
accent,
his
not
accent
to cut you off.
was...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
His accent, that's what cracks me up. Is everybody there, Midwestern accent. Sal, he must have just moved from Jersey. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what really stood out, especially his banter back and forth with the younger brother right at the very beginning of the movie, where he's trying to get his sister to come out and just like going back and forth, and the kid threatens to call his mom so many times, and he's like, hey, don't call mom, it's just, let's be cool, It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was, and that he done pretty good for the movie too. I mean, it fit in there all right. The one thing that got me, that there was one character there, Stooge, the big guy, dressed up like a pig.
Yeah.
But when he comes off there, I mean, he's like the one that's not afraid of anything. There's a noise over there. He's like, well, fuck, let's go find out what it is. Bust open the door, whatever. He didn't care. And then I seen that, we see that the first two that get possessed, they kind of keep some of their traits, some of their characteristics throughout the transformation when they become demons. But Stooge was the one that it really bothered me that he didn't get to keep any of his characteristics. Because he was one of those ones that was like a, party guy that's like, yeah, let's just go. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But then after he turns, he changed, his whole demeanor changed. Like, he didn't get to keep any of those traits coming over to that. And then the other part of that is, I think they wasted their budget on some of the makeup effects, because as it went on, nothing really got transformed on the last ones that got changed. I think one guy had an arm gone, there's a little bit of splattered blood, and yep, you're a demon. What?
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed what you're talking about. I think also at the very end there, when they all kind of get rounded up and they melt in the sunlight or whatever exactly happened to them, and the smoke rising, and then they have like the big demon floating head thing up in the sky above them. I thought that was kind of cheesy, but also like I saw what they were going for, so it was kind of an interesting way to end the film.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's one of those ones that, they knew they had to survive the night. They had to get over the wall from across the stream because they can't cross the natural water flowing or anything like that. Really, it wasn't too bad. I mean, the acting was not the best, and I think the two final people bothered me because they were completely worthless in the whole movie. But they're the ones that make it.
Yeah, so it happens so often sometimes. Yeah, and I mean, another shining star of the film. Let's give a shout out to the angry old guy at the very beginning and the very ending of the film. Yes. Just pissed off for no reason, really. Just mad at the world, and any little thing, I mean, just sets him off. And yeah, so shout out to the old guy.
Yeah, and he gets his comeuppance. Apparently his wife got tired of his crap too, so.
Yep.
Which that kind of bothers me because there is no humanly way possible you can swallow a razor blade. That is, you would bite into it. You would feel it. You couldn't take a little hunk of pie and not see the freaking razor blade. That's the full size coming out of his neck.
Yeah, exactly. Especially having an old grandmother being like that homicidal. I mean, jeez.
Whatever. I mean, by that point, it doesn't matter because the one gal, Judy, I guess was her name. That was our final girl.
Yeah.
What I did like about her was she was dressed up in the Alice in Wonderland get-up, where she was Alice, and it's almost like she was in the rabbit hole inside this house.
That's a good point.
And I enjoyed the house, though. The setting was good. I did enjoy that setting because it seemed like every room was something unique about it. Mm-hmm. And that makes a difference for me is when you have a good setting like that. I mean, you really felt like you were in an old funeral parlor, no matter what room you went into.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now, on this one, the IMDb has a rating of 6.3 out of 10, which is really not that bad. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
For me, it's not a perfect movie by any means. I think the special effects they did early in the movie were awesome. I enjoyed that. But I think they kind of went cheap as the farther they went. And overall, I'd probably give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I really think it's a pretty good one. It's worth watching. It's a popcorn movie. Just get your bag of popcorn, sit back, flip it on, just watch. You ain't got to worry about anything. You get a little bit of the story, just watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And how many movies can you get that are totally free? I mean, YouTube has it up there, Blu-ray quality, completely free. And so I agree. I'm going to give it a solid 3 out of 5. Only drawback for me was the acting, but again, it's one of those that's so bad it's good. So there we go.
Yeah. All in all, I mean, I definitely recommend it. It's worth watching. It's just one of those movies that, if you're at a Halloween party or something, if you flipped it on the background, it'd be perfect. I mean, because you might glance up and see some nudity, or you might glance up and see somebody losing a head. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
That type of thing. But, no big deal.
Yep.
We'll move on to our second movie, which is Heir from 2015, which is a 14-minute short film from producer Zach Green. It was written and directed by Richard Powell. And the story is, after connecting with a stranger of similar interest online, family man Gordon and his young son Paul embark on an ill-fated road trip in which Gordon aims to indulge in a secret passion. Before the day ends, a horrible truth will be uncovered and a harsh lesson will be learned. I'm going to let you, I'm not sure where to start on this one because I was just going to have spoilers because it's just such a short movie. This movie has a lot of symbolism in it, and you have to really pay attention to what they are talking about. And to me, it's gut-wrenching to think about it because pretty much the father is, I guess, pimping out his son to another guy that's a pedophile. And, but of course, in the movie, they're symbolizing the pedophile as being a monster. That's like the monster's trying to transform the son, but he's actually having sex with the son is what he's essentially doing, is what's implied. And to me, it's a gut-wrenching movie. I mean, because it's something that probably happens more than we realize. And it's just, it had some special effects with some physical effects that were pretty nasty. I mean, which is good. I mean, that's what they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, Jeff. I mean, I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit about it, Jeff.
Yeah, so when you sent the email to me, I went ahead and checked it out yesterday. And so it's still pretty fresh on my mind. It was interesting. Yeah, like you said, it's such a taboo subject, and it's tough to even tackle that one. And I understand that they were trying to probably send a message with this film more than just make a scary movie or make a horror film. It's kind of an interesting direction because it's not somewhere that many horror movies go. When you think of horror movies, you think of paranormal or slashers, stuff like that. You don't really think of sexual horror, I guess. I don't know how to say it really, but so yeah, I mean, the visuals, like you talked about, the practical effects were really nice, but like there's a spot on his hand, which is symbolic as well, and at one point it starts. I mean, it does it a few times throughout the film, and you kind of see it at first, and you wonder what it is, like if he's transforming into something or what's going on, and then later on in the film, he actually touches the boy, and like his hand becomes all gooey and kind of sticky to the boy, and it's so weird, and you have no idea what's going on, and then later on, the monster, the pedophile guy, he starts messing with the boy, and he starts transforming, and then the dad kind of looks away, and like this white liquid starts shooting out of his hand, and I'm sure most people kind of got to guess what that's symbolic for. And it was just like, it was one of those things that made my stomach churn. Like, there's not a whole lot that I will see nowadays that makes me like just really cringe like that, and that definitely got to me. So, and think about it. It's just liquid coming out of his hand, but you have been trained to know what that symbolizes. When you see that kind of thing happening, and so it was definitely sending a message more than being scary. This movie was not scary at all. It was psychologically scarring almost. Like, not really scarring, but like it gets to you and it stays with you for a little while. So mission accomplished on that side of things. And it does kind of bring awareness to this issue. So yeah, I mean, definitely a film worth checking out if you are if you're looking for something that's going to mess with your head a little bit. Not as in like I don't know what to say, John. It's a good movie.
It is. I mean, I think to get the story and the plot in 14 minutes is pretty good. Where that, kind of see what's kind of going on as it's unfolding, and by the end of it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's just horrible. I mean, that's to know that happens. Nobody's turned into monsters or nothing, but the idea behind it is what's scary to me.
Yeah, and it's a great piece of filmmaking. I mean, the cinematography is fantastic. Like all the camera angles, the way that the film was shot was wonderful. I love the actor who plays the father. I mean, just even like there's not a whole ton of dialogue in this film. A lot of it's just looking at their faces and seeing the emotion on their faces, just like getting the reactions, the what is that, the micro expressions on their faces. I mean,
yes.
Everything was great. The monster pedophile guy, I mean, he looked like he would be that sort of thing. So, I mean, everything about this film was perfect. I just don't know what to say about the topic because, like, it's not something that we deal with very often. So, yeah, I mean, I don't regret watching it. I'll say that.
No, I don't either. In fact, at the end of it kind of got me thinking a little bit. It's like, okay, well, he done all this and actually, try to save his son, get him out of there. But is that enough to redeem him to where he's not still a monster, I guess, when you think about it? Because even though he's come across that far to do that, I don't know if it's enough for him to be saved from not transforming into another monster, to say.
Yeah, it does beg that question. I mean, how far do you have to go redeem yourself and even do to redeem yourself after something like that? I mean, I don't think there is redemption, really. I mean, it's just one of those things that you're going to have to learn to live with.
Yeah, definitely. Just not let it. Yeah, it's something that he's going to have to live with. That's all there is to it. I mean, I think that sums it up. Now, this movie, I've talked with that Zach Green, who's a producer. He said he was open for an interview, so I'd like to get him on here and do an interview with him, and maybe anybody else involved with the movie too. I mean, I enjoy hearing some of that perspective of the filmmakers' side of it, because I'm just an observer. I'm not a filmmaker or nothing, so it'd be nice to hear their perspective on stuff of how they shot it and why they went with this, to use it as a monster instead of just a full-blown, pedophile story. So I'd be curious to kind of talk to them about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be good. And I kind of am on the filmmaking side, and so like I can definitely respect what he did and what he is doing, and telling that sort of a story in that amount of time. I mean, it's not an easy feat, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. So I guess on IMDb, this thing actually has a 6.9 out of 10 on the reviews. And it's won 2 of 4 nominations on these independent film awards. So, I mean, it's got some gumption behind it.
Yeah, and I can't even give this one a rating. I'm probably gonna pass on this one just because like it's such a different thing out there in left field. So I don't know.
And I'm kind of in the same way with you. I mean, I don't know how I would rate this because this is a different thing altogether. This isn't. It's definitely a short. It's a drama and it's a horror all wound up into one. And I mean, I don't know where to stand on it because I mean.
There's not a lot to compare it to.
No, there's not. There's not much to compare it to that I've seen myself. I'm sure there's other stuff out there. But for me, I don't think I can. If I was put in the corner and they said, give it a review, give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 because I think it's that powerful of a short. For short standard-wise, I think it's that powerful. I really do. I think it's one of those ones that if you see it, you're going to understand it. It's going to come off. You're going to know what it means. And if, it's to me, it's gut-wrenching because I have a son, and I couldn't imagine anything like that happening to him. So it's gut-wrenching for me.
So from a filmmaking standpoint, is there anything that you would have liked to have seen done differently?
I really don't know. Really, I think the way they done it was pretty good. I mean, because they gave you, everything you needed to get up to that ending. Like, oh, I get it. I understand everything from start to finish now.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know
agree.
if I do anything different. I think they done it right, but that's my opinion, though.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I think that sounds good. I mean, there's nothing I would have changed either, really. I don't know. Like I said, the cinematography. I love the camera. Like the camera was crisp and beautiful, and the lighting was all perfect. So I wish I could do it that well. That's I know that much because it's it's not
Exactly.
easy to get that sort of thing. And like the audio too being so like crisp and clean, that's another thing, especially with those low voices. And I think there are a lot of, really low tones and low audio moments in this film. And to not like, blow out your eardrums and still be able to hear, I mean, it's a delicate balance. So yeah,
It
I mean, not
is.
to drag on, but I don't think there's anything I would have changed either.
No, I mean, I think this is a very powerful movie for people to see, and I would encourage people to watch it. I mean, I really would. I think it's one of those ones that when you see it, you know it, and it's like, whoa. It's like that put a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll finish up here. We're going to go ahead and move on to Paranormal Activity 4. And Jeff, I'll let you give a plot summary of Paranormal Activity 4 for our franchise movie.
Yeah, so basically this one follows a new family. They are, I'm not sure how you would say it, but basically we're with a new family now. We have higher tech equipment, better, cameras. They bring the newest technology like the Xbox Connect thing into it. And also, like one of those security systems where it's like front door open when the front door opens up. And so basically we're still just following the family, following this new family, following a demon, the same demon from the earlier films, I believe. And it's one of those things, here we go again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And really, for me, I didn't mind this movie too much. It wasn't that bad. I was hesitant because I couldn't remember which one of these in the series I found the weakest, and it wasn't this one. But really, I didn't have too much problem with it. I liked the sounds in the background. The filming was good. The imagery was good. I think the idea was good. I don't know if they really needed to introduce a whole new family like that, but they did. And of course, they brought back one of the daughters the daughter from part 2 shows up in this one as well to kind of fill in a little bit of the story after her family was killed.
Yeah, and it was nice to have Katie back in there as well. I always like seeing her kind of, since she was the very original, and like she's in the very beginning of this movie, and then, well, spoiler alert, she comes back at the end too.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, there's a few things maybe a little stretchy and stuff, but they tried to reveal a little bit more of the story, but I don't know what to say about it. I mean, really, it wasn't that bad. It's probably not the strongest of the series or my favorite, but it still had a lot to do with the story to unravel a little bit more of what's going on in the end. I mean, I don't know. I enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed the levitation scene. Was pretty good. The fact that they're using the tech. Like I said about technology. They're using Skype or whatever to film some of it on the computer itself. Carrying it around and stuff like, oh, check this out. Look here, look there. And I don't know. I didn't think it was too bad. I mean, I think it gave a little bit more to the story, but I kind of wish they would have had more to the story of what was going on, though. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, at this point, they're putting a new movie out every year. And so, I mean, there is kind of a limited window for development, writing out different ideas and stuff. Plus, they have to come up with new, tricks for Toby to do, for the demon to do. And so I think they did some of that, like lining up the toys in a row to lead her to a certain area. And then, freshening up the ideas with new cameras and the new security system and all that, like you said, with the laptop and Skype and everything. So the Connect scene was really cool because they used the laser pointer dot type things to track the movement. And so you can almost kind of see the outline of the demon using that. So that was a really cool scene. That was probably the most famous scene, and I think that was in the trailers for the film as well. And and I like the new family. The daughter was very likable and not bad at acting at all. Not she was Tom Cruise compared to that Night of the Demons actresses, and it's kind of one of those things. But then again, maybe it could be, it's a different culture now than it was in '88. So or whenever that film was it '88?
It was '88 when that came out.
Yeah. So, and who knows how people acted like that back then, or if that maybe the people went around acting like that when they were teenagers back then. But nowadays, I can't remember this current girl in Paranormal Activity 4. Was she like 14-ish or 12, somewhere in there?
I thought she was 14, 15-ish. I thought.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it is kind of an interesting thing because we haven't really had anyone in that demographic as the lead role for a paranormal movie at this point. So it's kind of interesting to see her, dealing with her life and, still like playful and happy and all that stuff. So it was pretty interesting from that aspect as well. I'm trying to think of some other things that were really, it was very crisp.
The chandelier was a pretty good scene, I thought.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of a different one? Where the chandelier falls and tries to kill her? Or is this a different one? I've watched some of the movies here lately.
Yeah, with all these Paranormal Activities, we've been doing so quick. I don't know. Whatever movie that was from, it was a good scene. I can't remember if it was this one or not. I want to say it was... No, it wasn't the Ghost Dimension one, because that was a 3D. Yeah, so...
I thought it was this one that the chandelier fell and tried to kill her. Because I knew she also tried to get killed by the car.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was an interesting scene as well, because that's where Toby's really getting violent at that point. But, so it was really good. Katie, at the end again, just coming in, totally vicious, snapping the kid's neck and then dragging him into the closet. Just, it's kind of bringing it all back around, and finally it's nice because this one is the one that comes back to the present day as a third, or a second sequel, technically, because the third one was a prequel. So here we are back in modern day, and she's still walking around. Katie's still walking around, and things are still happening. So still on the run.
Because I think it says like 5 years after their disappearance, after Katie took Hunter and disappeared. So it's 5 years after that.
So somehow she's like out there as a functioning human being in society, or I don't know. She's like living in the woods somewhere. She looked really clean though. So
possessed but clean.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I did like the movie. It had a very modern look to it. Clean cut family, that kind of thing. Suburban family being terrorized by a demon. What else is there to love?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the ending was wild. Kind of like 3 in a way. It shows up and there's all these people like, what the hell? Where'd they all come from all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly.
But all in all, still wasn't that bad. I mean, I think that's, of course they do the famous, it looks like the faces change as they're chasing her or whatever, but they're at the end, but they're pretty known for that at this point. So,
yeah.
Really, it wasn't that bad. Is it the strongest? Is it my favorite? No. But it still works pretty good. I mean, I think it still works for the movie series, for what they were doing. It works.
Yeah.
And IMDb has this with reviews at 4.6 out of 10, which, it seems kind of low.
I feel like that's pretty low, yeah.
Compared to other movies I've seen that have higher ratings than that. But really, I guess not that bad. I mean, for IMDb, that's probably average. Average is 5, so it's a little below average on the point scale, but I still don't think it's that bad. I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is, above average for me. I recommend it. I'd say if you're a completist, you should own it. You should own the series if you're a completist and like the series. But it's worth watching, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 just because, they were only given a year for development. They implemented new ideas. They had the new technology. It felt very fresh. And I feel like if this was a standalone film, like if the first Paranormal Activities didn't exist, that it would have been probably rated higher because we didn't have, that higher standard to hold it to. So I feel like if this had been by itself, people would have accepted it more. But, so for those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5. Just a crisp movie, solid acting, no huge complaints, really.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good deal. And I agree with you. I think that had we not already had the standards of 1, 2, and 3, this one would have been a lot better for rating-wise.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to compare it to what they've done before. So, we're kind of stuck in that loop there where it's like, well, there's so many of them. Let's look back at this. Like, no, you can't look back at that. You need to go forward.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that bad. It's definitely worth watching, checking out. And yeah, I guess that finishes up our reviews for tonight. We've got some other stuff coming up. Jeff, why don't you get the picks? So, what are we going to be watching for the next review?
Yeah, so for the next episode, I've talked about it on the podcast before. We're finally going to watch the first episode that is free on YouTube of Outcast, which is the new show by Robert Kirkman, who was the creator of The Walking Dead, or is the creator of The Walking Dead. And so Outcast, it's on YouTube for the pilot episode. I think it's produced by, it's not Showtime, it's Cinemax. Cinemax is the new producer for the show. And so that one should be pretty good. I've heard nothing but good things. It's got a very exorcist-y vibe, like it's in the demonic possession realm of things, but like it's legitimately scary. So yeah, looking forward to that. Maybe on the next episode, I'll also talk about Lights Out briefly. That's that very newest one that started from the YouTube short film. I saw that in theaters the other night, and so I'll give kind of a report of that one maybe as well. And yeah, and so for the second half of that next episode, we're going to do probably Paranormal Activity 5, technically, the Ghost Dimension, and then also the Offshoot, which would have been, what was that called? The Marked Ones. The Marked Ones is, I don't know which would be considered 5. I think Paranormal Activity 5 is the Ghost Dimension. Well, I mean, it came out in the order of...
In order, but...
yeah.
Well, would it...
They should have numbered them.
Or would the marked ones be considered -1?
I know, that's kind of what I feel like it should be because, well, you'll find out in the next episode.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that's what we've got coming up. Just to plug a few things real quick, head on over to www.thefrightcorner.tk to catch up on all the episodes, or conversely, try jeffjarman.tk to find all of our stuff, the Jeff Jarman Show, the Fallout YouTube series, post-apocalyptic thing, Keepers of the Key if you like Stargate. Got all the old Jeff Jarman Show episodes, all 25 of them. We're getting ready to film a new one next week, and it's a comedy show. John, you may be part of that at some point in the near future, against your will, maybe, if it has to be. And then we're also still developing that new movie. So lots of stuff on the horizon. This podcast is doing pretty well. So, yeah, things are looking good. I'm at my at Jeff Jarman 55 Twitter account got hacked and no longer exists. So I'm at real Jeff Jarman on Twitter right now. And John, if you want to give away your Twitter information and all that stuff.
Yes, we have at the Fright Corner is the podcast Twitter. My personal Twitter is at jguitarrock. If you want to add me there, that's fine. I'm pretty active on the Fright Corner Twitter. Email thefrightcorner@mail.com is a good way. Like, subscribe on iTunes, leave reviews. That helps a lot. And let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. That's the only way we can get better. The only other thing I got to plug is I recommend checking out Horror Movie Night Podcast, because we're going to have those guys on here soon in October. And then there's another one called Don't Go Down That Road. I recommend checking them out. They got some good shows. Beyond the Veil Podcast, that's another horror movie review that's really good. And Vincent Price's Laugh. It's another good podcast. I'd recommend any of them to check out. If you like what we do, you'll probably like them even better. I mean, that's just what it is. I think that's all I got to plug. Jeff, do you have any final comments or anything?
Yeah, not really. One last thing with the Spreaker account that we have right now, some of the old episodes will be gone out of the Spreaker account, so they won't show up on iTunes anymore, but they will still be, well, they'll show up probably, but they won't be playable. So we actually have a YouTube account set up, I believe, that you can go and find the old archived episodes. So, John, I don't know if you want to post that kind of in the show notes at the bottom of the page when they listen to this.
I'll leave a link to the YouTube, the Fright Corner YouTube page. It's also going to be where, if I ever get the time to do it, stream some games and do a few things on there. I've been playing, of course, we've been playing the Battlefield 1 beta.
Yeah.
And, of course, I've got the Resident Evil, Biohazard free play to do there. Kind of like the little plane trailer, I guess, almost like what they did with PT with Silent Hill. Yeah, but I think that's about it. I don't have anything else, but yeah, check out the YouTube page. Eventually, there's going to be a lot more YouTube stuff up there. Is what I'm trying to get to. Eventually, it's just having the time to do it. Life gets busy. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes for us.
Yeah, and I have my gaming channel up right now. It's Dark on Veil Gaming, but you can find that again through jeffjarman.tk or thefrightcorner.tk. So definitely check those out. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, sounds good. So until next time, keep horror alive and watch something that scares you. And we'll see you next time right here in the Fright Corner.